Еха! Здравейте от Сиатъл, където за втори пореден ден трябва да гледам в камерата, после ще гледам там гостите. Втори пореден ден вали сняг. Намирате се в премиерата на Завръщане, видео подкаст, който отдавна исках да започна. Прави се заедно от сайта Filma.B, място за срещи без случайности. Сайт за хора, които искат да бъдат полезни на света, на българската култура, на образованието и на изкуството. Добре дошли! Днес на Свети Валентин и Трифон Зарезан ми е много драго да приветствам двама приятели, с които се запознах тук в Сиатъл. Ще говорим на български, но и на английски, понеже и двамата български ми не е толкова добър, колкото моя, след много години в чужбина. Един от тях е от българска Молдова. Затова той така смесва български и руски. Пак се разбираме много добре, но в подкаста днес, по изключение, ще говорим предимно на английски. За тези от вас, които не говорят много добре английски, ще може да си го упражнявате. Виждам, че 12 човека гледат. Добре дошли, където да се намирате в света. Може да споделите от страницата, може да споделите и в Facebook на вашите стени и така повече хора да разберат за това, което правиме. В следващите 2 недели имаме още гости, Ана Йончева другата неделя и Камен Воденичаров в последната неделя от месеца. Става малко разноглед, гледайки камерата и екран, но мисля, че се справяме окей за сега. Така, ще започнем след малко с Андрей. Андрей, приготви се. И Андрей ще започне с песен. След това ще си поговорим, ще ви запозная с Димитър, ще си поговорим с двамата. Тук сме до 11 часа сиатълско време, 9 часа българско време. Сипете си чаша вино. Честит празник на всички именици. И с тези пожелания от нас в Сиатъл, нас тримата, ви представям Андрей.
Где я весна приходит час определенный, благословенный день забот. Благословен и тьмы приход. Блеснет наука луч девицы, и заиграет яркий день. А я, быть может, я гробницы сойду в таинственную сень. И память юного поэта погладит медленная века. Заводит мир меня, но ты, Ольга. Скажи, придешь ли мне до красоты? Слезу пролить на грани урной и думать, он меня любил. Он мне единой посвятил рассвет печальной жизни бурной. Ах, Ольга, я тебя любил. Тебе единой посвятил рассвет печальный жизни бурной. Ах, Ольга, я тебя любил. Сердечный друг, желанный друг, приди, приди, желанный друг, приди, я твой супруг, приди, я твой супруг, приди, приди. Я жду тебя, желанный друг. Приди, приди, я твой супруг. Куда ты удалились, весны золотые дни моя весны.
Еха! Браво, приятелю, браво! Толкова ти се радвам. Добре дошъл в Завръщане.
Благодаря.
Искам само да кажа на гостите, че само тук да сменя така екрана, че да го видим в по-голям размер нашия приятел. Така. Да кажа на гостите, че с Андрей се запознахме в Палермо пица в Балърд И който не е бил в Палермо пица, трябва да отиде. Прекрасно място с прекрасни собственици тук в Сиатъл. И не знам вече коя година е било, може би 2014 или 2013, аз не знам. И той тогава, ти беше тогава с псевдонима Кулдун Шаман и свиреше на китара и пак пееше. И някак си минаха няколко години и ние въобще не се бяхме чували. Изведнъж аз му се обаждам и той казва ми, аз съм в училище и уча оперно пеене. Казвам, оперно пеене, как така? И просто много ти се радвам, че правиш това, което обичаш. Много се радвам, че си тук и ни поздрави с тази песен за този празник.
Приятно ми.
And I can switch to English because I know you'll be more comfortable in English. So,
Yes.
Just tell us a few things about yourself, and then we can invite our next musician.
Well, I am from Moldova, as Bogdan mentioned, and I spoke Bulgarian pretty much throughout my childhood. Because in the town of Taraklia in Moldova, there's population over there mostly Bulgarian and Russian. We did speak Bulgarian and learn Bulgarian at schools. So for me, it was more of a foreign language, but although on the streets, a lot of families would speak only Bulgarian too. So it was a very interesting mix to be grown up. And I actually did not divide Russian or Bulgarian culture at that age, because it seemed really, really similar.
Yeah, and you have sent me over the years some songs from that part, and I know that I would really love to go to Moldova and to go to all those villages where it seems like the Bulgarian culture has been preserved as it was hundreds of years ago in Bulgaria.
I think this is a good idea.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, we'll come back to Andrei. The format of the show is that every show we ask 4 questions, and they're always the same questions. And I think that we'll have some fun with those questions. So I can't wait to ask those questions to you, Andrei. But before then, we're going to invite another friend, a wonderful musician, somebody that left Bulgaria, I think when he was 7 months old. He will tell us more about that. But I'd like to invite Dimitър. And here we go.
I can't shake you, you've been on my mind. No matter how I turn it, it's just right. We're burning meteorite, shooting across the sky. We're burning meteorites, wasting away into the night. Head and heart will never meet on time. Meet me where the stars are always bright. We're burning meteorites, shooting across the sky. We're burning meteorites, wasting away into the night. Burning meteorites, shooting across the sky. We're burning, wasting away into the night, wasting away into the night, wasting away into the night.
Еха!
Hello.
Благодаря.
Благодаря на теб.
Чакай да... ето ни. So we will switch to English again, just so
Okay.
that we can... Thank you for being here and for your beautiful voice and for sharing your gift with us.
Thank you.
Again, the idea of this video podcast is to actually explore what brings us to those gifts that we have within us and how do we share them with the world. So I'm really excited to get deeper into it. But before we do that, go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself. And I know you told me that this is your first time during the pandemic playing live, and you're a musician. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I was born in Bulgaria, in Plovdiv to be exact. Born in Plovdiv, and when I was 7 months old, you were right, accurate. I came over here with my family. We immigrated to the States. I grew up in Seattle. I've spent some time in Los Angeles. I've done some music for film and TV shows. And yeah, just about 3 years ago, I decided that my heart is in singing and writing songs. As much as I love writing music for film and TV, I started, pursuing this career where I get to, sing songs for people. So whether that's in recordings or live performances. And so yeah, now I just made an album with Warner Chappell, which I'm really excited about, and that should be coming out within the next month. And that's my first legitimate album as a recording artist. And hopefully that's followed by live performances as we open back up. But yes, this is my first live stream performance during the pandemic. I've done some Instagram live stuff on my page, but I would say this is my first official live stream, so that's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And we look forward to your new album, and we would love to do, anything that we can do to promote it here with Filmabee and to have you again be our guest. And
I would love that, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
yeah.
I love being here.
Yeah. And the idea behind this platform to Filmabee is that it was inspired by the flight of the bee. It was inspired by what the bee does, and it's the cross-pollination. So it's a place for cross-cultural pollination. And I think that this wonderful synergy between music and film and poetry and anything that enriches us is really beautiful. So and opera. So speaking of opera, I'll bring back our friend Andre. Here we are, the three of us. And I will start with my first question, which is, again, the name of the podcast is Возвращение, which is translated to English is returning. And the idea is that we all go on a journey. And we all start at a certain place, and then we come back to our community, to our society, to give back. And what I'd like to do with both of you is to just go back to that moment in your life where you were living an ordinary life, life that maybe everybody expected you to live. But then something happened, and it doesn't have to be a war or anything like that, but something happened where suddenly you were yanked out of this ordinary life and you were set on a completely new journey. So could you speak to that, whoever wants to start?
Yes, I can start probably. So, speaking of music, I've been playing music since young years. I played clarinet, I played guitar and sang pretty much all the way until I stopped by the age of 17. Then I went to school, right? I studied in Moldova. I got a degree in international relations. But then when I moved to US at the age of 21, I started doing music again. I was working on the mountain in Colorado, and suddenly I realized I dedicated too much time to money aspect, or to something that's only physical. So I realized that some part of me is missing. I needed something to change. I wanted my energy to shift, and I picked up the guitar and I started writing songs. So basically, while I was living in Colorado for the last 2 years, I started playing songs and playing open mics pretty much every day. And by the time I moved to Seattle, I already had enough music for the whole album. And when I moved to Seattle, I decided not to work too much, just 3 or 4 days a week. And that's what I did for the next 3 years, by playing music, writing music, and working on the side before I went to conservatory. So when I went to school, that became more serious after that. So I started dedicating a lot of time, training all the time, and since 2014, I pretty much never stopped developing my craft. In just in opera. I'm talking about just opera, because until 2014 there was mostly rock and roll and some other genres. So basically, classical music took over.
And it shows, and it's interesting you coming from Moldova and then coming here to a reality of the United States, and because I had a similar experience, but mine lasted, I think, much longer, maybe 10 years of pursuing the American dream of money and materialism, until my soul actually was like, Bogdan, you need to quit and you need to focus on making films. So I can relate to your story there. And how about you, Dimitar? Tell us about the ordinary life.
Well, it's funny because this is actually a big theme. And when you said yanked out, when you use that word yanked out, it was quite literally how it happened. So I always played music since I was a kid. You know, I picked up guitar first and then got into classical piano. And this was just for fun. It was just so interesting to me. That's how I spent most of my time. You know, other kids were going out and playing in the sun during the summer, and I was at home trying to learn Chopin or whatever. But then it came time to, you know, I graduated high school. All my friends went off to college, and I kind of felt left out, and I kind of went like, I want to be a part of the world. I want to join my peers. They're all going off to college. I should do the same. And I was thinking at the time, I said to myself, like, what's something creative but stable, something that has order, and you use that word too. And so I chose architecture. I went to school for architecture for a year at UW, and it's a really funny story. On the last day, I was supposed to present my final. That's all I had to do to finish the year. And I had it all ready, but the poster wasn't printing, so I went to a third party, like FedEx off-campus thing, and that printer didn't work, and I basically spent like 3 hours the whole afternoon trying to print this poster, and it just wasn't working. And I don't know if I took it as a sign back then, but I just was my patience. I was done. And so I was sitting on the sidewalk in front of UW waiting for the next printer to open, because they were on like lunch break or whatever. And before they opened, I just got up and walked away from the school, and I never came back. And I left my backpack there. I left everything there. It was like, I call it the quietest nervous breakdown that I've ever had. So that's how I left school. And then from that moment, I have had jobs, like Andre was saying, like 3 to 4 days a week. I try to make it a point to focus on music and, and just have a job to survive, to get me through, to buy my instruments and stuff. But, yeah, I mean, last year I took the final plunge, like around January or this time. I decided, I can't go half and half. I have to go full 100% leap of faith into this career if it's going to work. I just knew it in my heart that, like, if it was going to work, I had to dive in 100%. And that's what I did last year. And luckily, I'm still here. I'm still alive. I have shelter and food in my fridge. But yeah, so I take it week by week now, and my main goal is to share what I think is in my heart, what I think is something special and divine, and my duty in this world is to share it with the people, with you guys. And so that's what I do now. I've dedicated myself to the craft, and I consider myself a servant of music and a servant of the people.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Thank you so much for this story. And I welcome all the guests that are joining us right now. You can leave a comment, whatever platform you're watching on. And I want to invite you now to follow up this with just another song, because I think it's just such a beautiful a transition into another song. And just think about the song you're going to play. And I'll just say briefly that Dimitър is also a wonderful teacher. We actually met, we see each other often, but recently we just started talking, and I said, hey, I'm looking for a teacher for my stepdaughter Iglika to teach her music. And I knew in particular what because every parent knows their child and every child learns differently. And Dimitър started teaching her and brings a just absolutely wonderful approach. So you're gifted in many ways, my friend. So continue.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, continue. Okay, we are ready for you.
Okay, this is actually, you're right. This is a good transition. This song is sort of a love song. It's called Wonder. It's off of my own self-released EP last year called Wonder. But it was just like a simple song, just a thought about, like, I wonder where we'd go if we dropped our, life where we work and kind of everything's in order and stuff. If you drop that and you could just go anywhere. And so just a little thought like that, but sort of a love song for all you Valentines out there too. Does that sound good? Everybody can hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. The song's called Wonder.
Where did all the time go? All we ever do is work. Always counting down to Friday, when Monday could be just as good. I wonder where we'd go. Wonder where we'd go. if we left tonight? I wonder where we'd go, wonder where we'd go if we left tonight. Tell me that you love me underneath the moon and stars. No more wait until it's perfect, no more giving up before you start. I wonder where we'd go, wonder where we'd go if we left tonight. I wonder where we'd go, wonder where we'd go if we left tonight. If we left tonight. If we left tonight. If we left tonight.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Song's available on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to music. It's called
Yeah,
Proект.
and did I spell it right? DimiterMusic.com, right?
Yes, that looks perfect. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate
Oh,
that.
of course. And bear with me, whoever's watching, as I'm, learning this program here and switching between banners and I think it's so exciting that we're actually able to do this nowadays, to connect in this way. So I'll move to the next question, and we can start maybe with Andre again and bring him back in the conversation. So along that journey that you both took, there must have been mentors and people that teachers and could be invisible beings, could be your own inner voice, but any could be nature. I don't know, anything that comes to mind. What are your mentors? And tell us maybe a story or memory, whatever comes to mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I was lucky enough to live in the mountains in Colorado, so I got to feel the nature. I think this was sort of a friend to me. But then I was lucky enough to have friends there too, and we still maintain long, friendship. Even though we live in different states, we still support each other. And I think this is very valuable, having the friends who are actually able to inspire you. And also, I think to me they are like diamonds, like they're precious. And I hope I can do the same to the same people too. So basically, it's people. In my case,
that is I love this about actually about this format of the show, because it's so amazing. Like, I mean, I had the idea to do it, but the answers that are coming are just so amazing. Friends, I would have never thought of that. Mentors, friends as mentors, but that's so beautiful. And I couldn't agree more with you how important, especially in these times, it is to come together and support each other. So thank you. And we go to Dimitar.
Yeah, Andrea's answers got me thinking too. I almost want to say a cop out answer like, well, everything, but I'll try to get a little more specific because yeah, I mean that was a good answer. I like that. I have to say it started with my mom. Watching her play piano and sing. There's when somebody's playing music, there's like a genre style that they play. There's their skill level, all that. But there was a certain aspect of my mom when I saw her play music that stuck out to me, and that's just how much she loved it, how much her heart was in every little note. In fact, when I was learning piano, I taught myself, but she would walk by. She didn't really, teach me, but she would walk. But she's like the Rick Rubin of classical piano. She'd walk by every once in a while and be like, "Dimitar, don't forget about the notes in between. Like every note matters." And just so, I mean, I have to say it started off with that. My mom was, a big influence in I would say the way that I got into music, how I listen to it, how I play it, how I approach it. And then, we're all creative people here, the three of us. We know how it goes. It's the self-doubt, the questioning whether, you're good enough, that kind of thing, whether it's right for you, whether you should pursue it as a career, all goes through your head. And so I think it's important, not that you have people that flatter you along the way, but people that encourage you and sort of, validate you. And so my next one I'd have to say is my friend Leon, with whom I did the TV show The Kindness Diaries with. And, I'd feel discouraged every once in a while. And I think just randomly out of nowhere, he would send me emails saying, "You are a genius, man. The world needs your music. Never give up." Things like that. And he's all about kindness and about encouraging people. And so that really helped along the way too. I mean, I'd say he was a big confidence mentor to me. He was very important. I felt seen and heard. He really understood my music and loved it. And so. And then after that, I should say, yeah, the fans, the people that have wrote me, messages and where my music has been important to them, that has helped me along the way. My musical influences, I've learned so much from them. Similar thing to my mom, watching how much they care about the craft and how much, they serve the craft, and that inspires me. So it's a little bit of everything, but those are a few of the specifics. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah. And I can relate to that. And first I want to tell people that you compose for Netflix and you're very humble. You don't rarely mention that, but I think that's wonderful that you have had that opportunity and
I'm grateful. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And also you touched on something that even that little email, I get those emails for my films and from fans, and it just helps so much. I mean, people don't even want to say, to tell to whoever is watching that just that taking that moment out of your life to write and to reach out to us is just many times it's put me out of bed and it's made my day reading those emails. So I think that's really beautiful. So I'll let Andre get ready for another song, but before you do, we have two more questions of this first premiere of Возвращение, the Return. It is in English today because with our speakers we feel more comfortable speaking in English. If people are watching this that are English speaking and are not Bulgarian, and suddenly they're like, "Hey, this is cool, we want to see more of it," or maybe you watch it later, let me know, because I would love to do this in English as well. The idea is to do it in Bulgaria. I really right now I'm really focused on connecting to my Bulgarian community abroad in the world and in Bulgaria, and so we're moving in that direction, but I would love to also do it in English if people are enjoying the content. And before Andre sings, I'd like to play a trailer for film. It's about the history of my hometown, Sofia, and this film is premiering on Filmobee on the 28th of February, and it's premiering in a festival that is going to go for 3 weeks. And we're actually talking I've mentioned it to both of you separately that the festival opens on the 26th of February, and it's called Завръщане, not Завръщане, Задвижване, activation.
Okay.
And the idea is that through this festival, we activate our community, activate all of us to come together. And for this first festival, we're coming together through film, which is actually my love for film is what's brought me to even do this podcast and to get out there. And to be here on Valentine's Day to celebrate, you know, my love for film with you all. But I'll share the trailer with you. And our guest actually is a co-director on the 28th in the podcast, Kamen Vodeničarov, is going to be our guest. We're going to talk more with him, but about the movie. But here is the trailer.
Отдавна. Отдавна. Много отдавна. Трябва да е било в началото на 6-то хилядолетие преди Христа. Или още по-рано. От реката и горещия минерален извор тръгнало всичко.
След всички погроми и градежи, човешки и природни, София продължава да е на своето място. Град, запазил очертанията си в мъглата на времето. Градът продължава да е жив, заради хората, които го населяват и променят вече 8000 години.
Are you guys excited to see it?
Very excited.
Right?
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh, it's such a beautiful film, and it's just a mixture of reenactment, of documentary footage, and I'm very excited to host it on Filmabee, and that's the idea that Filmabee is a place for curated content, because nowadays the internet bombards us with content. So we wanted to create a special place where the content is curated, and we can really enjoy films like that and find quality films and quality music, quality art that we can share with each other in the world. So again, Kamen Vodeničarov will be our guest here on the 28th, and that's when the premiere of the film is. And we have a lot of more films. So next week I'll share more trailers. We have some absolutely incredible films in the festival. And we are ready for you, Andre, for your next performance.
Mm-hmm. So this next piece is an art song by Stefano Donaudi, and it's called Come la lodoletta. It's in Italian, like the little skylark through the meadows, from a gentle heart in which love rules alone. I think this is a good piece for today's date, which is Valentine's Day.
Da un cor gentile in cui solenni amore da un coro gentile in cui solo regni amore. E l'alma che ne sente vaglia d'avanza, se muore in cielo come un fior, se muore in cielo come un fior.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
I so want to hear you on the big stage.
Coming out soon after all of this.
Yes, right. We have to find ways to make it happen. And actually, I filmed when we met. When we met, I used to film for Seattle Opera. I filmed this, I think, for 3 or 4 years. I filmed their marketing videos in 2010. It started, or 2011, and really fell in love with the opera. Then it was just really incredible to watch the performances, but to also interview the people. And I'll share a story that really stuck with me. I interviewed, and you probably don't know the name, but it escaped me now. He was a lead in The Ring trilogy, and he was this incredible opera singers. But he got up there and started saying, and we did a fundraising video, and he did this appeal to all the fans of opera of how they need to support opera and the arts. And I didn't know that until then, that actually 60 to 70% of all the support for $1 million productions, operas, was coming from the fans and private donations. And it just absolutely blew me away. And also what Seattle Opera was doing, it was engaging its community. I think at one point in a year, half a million people in the community were engaged in one way or another with the opera. And so that really stuck with me, and all these years later actually inspired me to start Filmabee and to actually create a place where we can, artists, be supported by our fans, right? There is other websites like that, Patreon, but we want to create a place again where our fans can come and enjoy what we do and support us, and in this way we can continue to make our art and also engage our community. So yeah, thank you for your voice, and I can't wait, brother, to see you on the stage. And then we'll move on. We have 2 more questions. So for those that have joined late, this is Завръщане, return, and we started with 2 questions, which you can replay the podcast and find out about. And we're moving to the next one, which is actually a big one, and that is, when was there a moment in your life when you faced your worst fears, when in a sense you died to yourself and you were you rose from the ashes and into another self? But just talk about facing your worst fears. I know it's not your regular podcast where we just like talk about the weather, but why not? Why not go straight to the core of?
It is quite the weather we're having, though, right?
Right, I know, it's really amazing. I love it.
Should I go first?
Sure, it looks like you're ready.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, yeah. I mean, it's like how real do I want to get? How deep do I want to get? I think about just going back to this leap of faith idea. It's funny because my biggest fear in life changed when I was growing up. Being from Bulgaria and trying to assimilate to this culture, to fit in, to be like my peers. My biggest fear was being left out. My biggest fear was like not fitting in, not being a part of the world, you know, just kind of experiencing the world from the outside and never really having a place for me. And that kind of followed me all through my childhood, which is kind of why, I mean, I really ended up going to UW, ended up going to school. It was so that I wasn't left out, you know. But and I want to kind of I want to go on a little tangent in the middle of this answer to say I'm so appreciative of you, Bogdan, for kind of going out of your way to bring me back into my Bulgarian roots. That sometimes I feel like, I mean, I still, you know, cook the food and speak the language and all that, but I feel like you're making an effort to bring me like further back into my roots, and I really appreciate that, because the more I go back into those roots, the more I remember, kind of like I put together puzzle pieces that have been missing, and it's like, oh, this is who I really am. And you know, the more puzzle pieces I put together myself, like the better picture and the more complete I could feel, even in my approach, just in my music and in other things. But back to the answer. My fear changed from being left out and not a part of the world to, I had this dream. This really happened. I had a dream a few years back. I had like a really safe, nice full-time job. I loved it. You know, it was a great job, but I had this dream. I where I was like an old man. I was like in my 80s or something, and I was on my deathbed. Not to make it dark, but it wasn't a dark thing. It was just like, you know, I had lived a nice, good life, and I was on my deathbed. My kids were there, my grandkids were there, and I was like crying, and I was like crying, and there was this like deep sadness in the dream that I was really feeling this feeling, and my kids and grandkids were like, "What's wrong?" And I couldn't stop crying enough to like explain it to them. When I woke up and thought about it, I feel like that feeling of sadness was that I kind of had, in the middle of my life, had thought that life would just last forever, and that I could always share my gift, you know, later on, you know, like I need to perfect it first. I need to get perfect at piano. I need to get my voice perfect, and I'll just share my gift later. I'll start making music later. And it was really sad. And that's what this, you know, my biggest fear became that I grow old, and I never tried because I was scared, because I wanted stability and I wanted comfort. And because of that, my life passed me by, and I didn't get to share this thing that I feel was like a gift inside of me. And so that became my biggest fear. And, you know, I made some changes, and I shifted priorities. And like I said, I left my job pretty much because of that feeling and a couple other signs that came my way. But I feel like now I don't act out of that fear. Like that fear helped me shift the priorities, but now I'm acting out of love. I'm excited at the challenges. I'm not scared of the challenges, you know. I'm excited about them. It comes from love, but it was a shift there that happened, and so that became my biggest fear.
Well, thank you. Oh, I gotta get this out of here as I'm learning this program. Here we go. And how about thank you for sharing that. That's I myself am very connected to my dreams, so it's wonderful when they come and they help us in this way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dimitar, I'm impressed. I hear you. I feel that, you know, this as an artist, we more open to feelings, probably due to the nature of the things we do, and listening to the messages or reading the signs is very important. Yeah. If it's my turn, right?
Yes, it is your turn, my friend. You're not getting out of speaking about your fear.
Yes. So as he mentioned, as Dimitar mentioned, you know, being an immigrant and not even knowing the country, or kind of having an idea that you know it, and trying to understand what are your boundaries, it's quite a challenge, I would say. You know, everyone who went this route, right, to be an immigrant, they face certain fears. That's for sure. And for me, maybe it's not just part of being immigrant only, but I think since I was growing up, I was always put in some sort of box by the environment I was having, and inside a lot of times I was resisting it. But as I grew older, my resistance grew up. Resistance to fit into some sort of category or society, and it grew up to the point where I really felt that I had to embrace the gift or the idea of being an artist, because for a lot of years I've been doing music, but I was still rejecting the fact that I have maybe the power or the gift doing it. So embracing that until letting go of the fears of taking a courage to embrace your art, I would say. That was the biggest fear, because you always compare yourself to the people around you or the things around you, and you realize pretty much no one understands you unless the people who do art, or unless people who do some other, maybe let's say not traditional creative jobs. And this is when I think the fear goes once you practice, and the confidence grows with that too. And through that, obviously, you will find what I was finding. This is mentors, supporters, and friends who were on the same page in this journey. So that's what I feel.
So in essence, you're saying that when we overcome our fear and start living the life that we feel that we should be living, then you start meeting all kinds of people that are kind of vibrating on the same level, on that journey.
Yeah, I think this applies to any job. People who do other sorts of jobs, they attract the same like-minded people. I think this is the nature of things. The more we progress, the more we grow, we become ourselves, I think.
And the sense of community that's so important around that. So we have one more question before I will invite probably for the closing for Dimitar to play another tune. But before we move to that, the last question is, and I think that you both touched on this a little bit, but it's about your superpowers and свръхсилата and the gifts that you're bringing back to your community, because we talked about your journey, living the ordinary life, the mentors, facing your fears, and what can you touch on? What are those superpowers within you, and then what are you bringing back to community, or you want to give back to the world?
I think I have a thought. Superpower is such a mythical, right? Something sort of magic word that has a lot of place to speculate about it. But in my opinion, I think it's emotion, managing the emotions. This is probably the biggest thing for me, was that I would call superpower. Being being friends with your emotions and access, actually emotional capital, emotional wealth. And I think through that, in my case, I find the word superpower.
Oh, that's really wonderful. Again, unexpected. And I wanted to bring the superpower theme to this podcast because of how in Hollywood you're always just bombarded with one kind of superpower. But I feel that music is superpower. So is you spoke beautifully to becoming a master of your emotions. So superpowers can take many ways, many forms. So thank you for that. And how about you, Mitko?
I think that was a beautiful answer. really managing the emotions, learning that all the emotions matter. I'm gonna have to hop on the Andre train, because when I started learning how to do that, and paying attention to that, even things like kind of thinking of a personal philosophy for yourself. What are the things you believe in? A few years ago, I wrote down on a piece of paper, like, just a bunch of notes of, like, what are the things that make me me? What do I believe in? What does this life mean to me? And then and I actually listened to another podcast where they instructed to do this, and I thought it was a great idea to kind of create a sentence that you feel is your personal philosophy. What's your mission statement for life? And then making decisions based on that, And so it started with that, but it also, I love what Andre said, because I think the closest thing that we could get to a superpower is learning how to manage emotions and give space for all of them. Because with that, I mean, you can quite literally rewire your brain, to help you get through the bad times and the good. I think it's just a really powerful thing. I think another thing for me is, like, and this is kind of what wonder was about. I like the word wonder. I didn't really think too much about what what it means at the time where I chose that album name, but I guess I just thought of, like, another superpower. And I would say, personally, to me, my biggest superpower is keeping that childlike magic, curiosity, wonder in your heart, and never losing that, and nurturing that, and trying to keep that alive, because as adults, we can start to get, cynical and practical, and practical is a good thing. But just learning how to keep that alive in us, that part in us that when we were a kid, we saw, magic and wonder in the world. Keeping that childlike, energy alive in you is like a superpower too, because you remember, when I could sit down on a piano 100 times and be like, write a song that'll, sound good and make you a lot of money. But it isn't until I sit down at the piano and kind of approach it like I used to when I was, like, curious about it, and it was like the world was ahead of me. Like, that's when the good songs come out. So I think that'll be mine.
That's great, and we actually have a focus at Filmobile. We are developing a site for it for children, which is called Superpower, and the idea is for every kid to discover what their superpower is, and to really guide them in this new and exciting world that we're living in. And before we wrap up, I want to say that whoever is watching and whoever watches this later, I'm going to share here I shared a couple of links where you can subscribe to Filmobile and subscribe to what we're doing. We are having, again, a film festival that's starting on the 26th of February. Next week, I'm very excited for my next guest, and next podcast is going to be in Bulgarian, and it's Anna Yoncheva, and she is doing absolutely incredible work in Bulgaria that I can't wait to tell you about, and I can't wait for this conversation. And I just put a link as well where you can go find out about what she's doing. And actually, it's an exhibit we have on Filmobile, and some of the photographs, while you watch the exhibit, you can listen to Dimitr's music as you're watching the exhibit. And again, that's the idea behind this platform, behind this podcast, is this cross-cultural pollination, and for all of us helping each other out. And my two friends, before we let Dimitar close this session, it was so wonderful to be joined here in snowy Seattle on Sunday, on Valentine's Day, and happy Valentine's Day, and Трифун за Резан, и на всички именици от нас. But I couldn't have imagined a better beginning of this journey with this video podcast than with the two of my, dear old and new friends. So thank you so much. And again, next week we'll be back the same hour, same day. So take it away, Dimitar. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me, Bogdan. It was so nice to meet you, Andre. I can't wait to see more of your stuff on your website. I'm probably going to do that right after this, and I can't wait to see you live as well.
Thank you. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Oh, awesome. And thank you guys for watching, the guests that are watching on Facebook or StreamYard or YouTube. I appreciate it. This song is about a breakup, so not the best Valentine's, or maybe it is. Yay! I sang a love song. I have to sing a song for the ones that are alone too now. So it's comforting though. It's a happy breakup song. It's good.
Woke up alone in this bed again, thinking of mornings when we'd sleep in. I heard you moved on, found your confidence. It hurts me so, but it's good to know. Me not so much, I'm still pulling through. Tried to love someone else that just wasn't you. I know that someday you'll think good of me. It hurts me so, but it helps me grow. Oh, I'm holding on. Oh, I'm not giving up. Oh, and I know it's gone. It kills me so. I'm letting go. How long will I go on missing you? They're all saying somewhere around a year or two. I wish that I could go back in time and say all the things that I meant to say. Now I said, oh, I'm holding on. Oh, I'm not giving up. Oh, I know it's gone, and it kills me so. I'm letting go. I'm letting go. I'm letting go. It kills me so. I'm letting go. Oh, I'm holding on. Oh, I'm not giving up. Oh, I know it's gone, and it kills me so. I'm letting go. Yeah, it kills me so, but I'll let you go.
Yeah, hey, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you
for
for having me.
everyone that watched. And if you tuned in late, these beautiful men had absolutely wonderful thoughts to share and stories to share. So tune in, share, and we'll see you again. We'll have to do this again.
Yes, please. I'd
Yeah,
love it. Thank you so much for having me, man.
We do it at the opening of the festival on the 26th of February. We'll focus more on music. I think
Sounds good to me.
that'll be fun. All right, thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good day.
On
Happy
Facebook.
Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to everyone.